So in today's video, we'll talk about how to start answer writing from zero. If you're just starting UPSC preparation, it can be very challenging to understand, okay, what questions am I supposed to write? Where am I supposed to get feedback from? When do I start writing? All of these questions are very important and we'll address them in today's video. Now, the first and most important thing you need to understand with regards to answer writing is the pattern of UPSC Mains, because it is in UPSC Mains that you will be spending a lot of time writing. Now, these are the 7 papers that are counted for merit. 7 papers into 250 marks each, which is a total of 1750 marks. This is your mains exam. Here you have the essay paper, then GS 1, 2, 3 and 4. In sabka syllabus, it's given over here. GS 1 mein you have Indian history, heritage, culture, then you have Indian society, then you have geography. GS 2 mein governance, constitution, polity, then you have social justice, international relations. GS 3 is sort of a catch-all subject where a lot of things are covered. You have Indian economy with a special focus on agriculture. There is internal security, disaster management, environment, science and tech. A lot of things come up in GS 3. Finally, GS 4 का जो paper है हमारा, that is ethics, integrity and aptitude, and then 2 papers of optional subject. All of these papers require you to write and write quite a lot. So we'll discuss a little bit about कि भी कितना detail में क्या-क्या चीजें आपको करनी चाहिए and like what speed you're supposed to have in order to do this. But before that, there are 2 qualifying papers as well. There is paper A, which is an Indian language. This Indian language can be any of the languages given in the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. Meaning, if it's an official language of India, you can give paper A in that language, and similarly, paper B will be English. Both of these will be for 300 marks, and you are only supposed to get 30%, meaning 90 marks to qualify these exams. And in this, you'll have something like comprehension, pressy writing, usage and vocabulary, meaning जो ऐसे आते थे ना synonyms, antonyms, पर्यायवाची हिंदी में जिनको बोलते थे, short essays and translation from English and Indian languages. So all of these things will be covered in these papers. So the idea of the language papers is very simple, that UPSC wants to test your proficiency. Proficiency in the sense of that if you are posted in any part of the country, you should be able to talk to people. So English is for that, and 1 Indian language for your local proficiency. Now let's talk about marks distribution. Marks distribution का क्या idea है that each of your GS papers is a 250 marks. Now these 250 marks are divided into 2 parts. The first part is 10 markers and the second part is 15 markers. You have 10 of each kind for a total of 250 marks, right? 10 markers, you're supposed to write 150 words. And for 15 markers, you're supposed to write 250 words. So overall, अगर देखा जाए, आपसे expectation है that when you are giving mains, so in 3 hours, you are writing almost 4,000 words. 4,000 यहाँ पे कैसे आया? Very simply, 150 into 10 and 250 into 10. So 2,500 and 1,500 gives you 4,000 words, which roughly translates to a writing speed of 22 to 23 words per minute. Meaning, itna very basic writing speed you should have, and this is when you're sort of writing non-stop, meaning you get started from the moment that you see the paper and then you keep writing continuously throughout that time. This may seem like, okay, it's very doable, but this is why it's very important for at this point for us to have a speed test. Now, if you're watching this video, I would want you to pause right at this moment, set a stopwatch for 7 minutes and write down the answer for what is a table. It's a very simple idea that speed test, if you're doing it right now, will set you up for success in the long run. Why? Because a lot of people are not even aware of, okay, what can I do over here? So for those of you that took the time to write this, now what I want you to do is calculate your writing speed. Writing speed will be simply words written in 7 minutes divided by 7. This will be your writing speeds. For those of you that actually did this test, do let me know in the comments what your writing speed is. If it is more than the 22, 23 that is required just to complete any GS paper in mains. If it's more than that or if it's less than that, let me know. A very simple thing over here is कि when you're writing this fast, when you're thinking कि okay 7 minutes में I'm supposed to write what a table, क्या करें, कैसे करें, क्यों करें, so this comes up with the second part of answer writing. That in civil services exam preparation, UPSC gives more marks for breadth than depth. It does not want depth. Optional may you can still go deep, but in general studies papers, it is much more important that you cover breadth of a topic. Now, for example, when we are talking about a table, I'm sure a lot of you talked about, okay, table is a piece of furniture. It can be made of wood, plastic, materials that tables can be made of. Some of you might have talked about, how many legs does a table have? What are the uses of a table? How many of you wrote about, Excel tables? How many of you wrote about databases? Because these are also tables. And this is the point that when you're thinking and writing very fast under time pressure, it's very easy to miss out on a lot of dimensions, which is why the idea here is that with practice, with time, what we'll do is we'll train for addressing a lot of perspectives rather than just deep diving into, okay, a table should have 1 leg, 5 legs, 7 legs. Fine. Table can have as many legs as you want, but that is not the most important thing. We should be talking about what are the other kinds of tables that are possible over here. Now, this is another one of those tables. यहाँ पे क्या किया है हमने? We have taken up 100 plus mark sheets from CSE 2024, and इनमें we've tried to come up with a range of marks. Essay में you'll see minimum marks 57, maximum marks 114, a range of almost 90 marks. For all GS subjects, the range is 40, except for our essay paper. तो ये दो papers जो हैं, essay and GS4 ethics, these are the two papers where there is a very high margin. There is a 90 marks ka difference and there is a 70 marks ka difference between the person with one of the lowest scores and one of the highest scores. You can also check out the averages. But what is the point over here? The point here is that in these three papers, you can do a little bit of formulaic writing. माने कि मैं set formula एक लेके चल रहा हूँ, intro, body, conclusion. I'm trying to put in 10 points in a 10 marker, 15 points in a 15 marker, giving a lot of examples. Generally, will solve the problem for you. Ethics and essay are two papers where your writing skill is very important, right? There are two separate parts to it. There is a writing skill and there is the content that you require to write. Writing skill is very important in these papers, and these are the papers that you see that the maximum range of marks is happening. Why? Because a lot of people are missing the skill aspect of writing. Most people who are giving mains have content. A lot of people are missing on the skill. So it's very important that you focus on developing both of them, which is why in this video where we're talking about the basics of answer writing, it is important that we address both of them. Now, coming to mastery, how do you develop this skill? What is the idea? So the most important part is for you to understand that there are 4 steps to mastery. 4 steps में सबसे पहला step आता है हमारा unconscious incompetence, meaning you don't even know what problems exist in your writing skill. Maybe you lack content, maybe you lack structure, maybe your grammar is bad. You don't even know what is the problem right now. And a lot of people are at this stage of mastery. कि हमें पता ही नहीं है because we've not written at all. Right. From here, you want to go to the second stage, which is conscious incompetence, meaning I've done some practice, and through some practice, now I at least know, okay, this is the most common problem that is found in my writing, that maybe I've not studied the subject enough, that maybe, I should structure my answer more, maybe I should give more examples. You have some idea about what are the problems in your answer writing, and then from there, you go to level 3. Level 3 में क्या हो रहा है? I have come to conscious competence, meaning when I'm focused, when I'm in the zone, I write a great answer, but it requires me to be 100% focused in the zone and बेस्ट परफॉर्मेंस पे जब मैं होता हूं, आई राइट अ ग्रेट आंसर. फ्रॉम 3 you go to level 4. Level 4 is unconscious competence. माने कि even on a bad day, any answer that I write will generally be a good answer. If I'm in the zone, I will write all great answers. So this is the idea of mastery, going from level 1 to level 4. Most people when they start are here. They are at level 1. But the people who are clearing mains are at level 3 or level 4. अब इसमें how do you change levels? That's a very very important question that comes up right after this. तो फर्स्ट लेवल से सेकंड लेवल पे जाने के लिए सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज दैट यू हैव टू डू इज प्रैक्टिस. देयर इज नथिंग टू इट. ऑल दैट यू नीड टू डू इज राइट, बिकॉज व्हेन यू राइट you will find out what mistakes you're making. Till the time you don't write, you will not find out your mistakes. So coming here is obviously a lot of practice. From here to here requires you to also work on your content, your structure, your presentation. What this means is that the basics of answer writing, the structure of your answer, content, and presentation. These are 3 core elements that you'll need to work on. Once you have worked on them, so then you will be able to write a great answer if you're focused and in the zone. Finally, coming from here to here, this is where the originality comes in. Right? Hota kya hai? That all of these people at level 3 and 4, these will be people who will clear mains. But the people who get the under 200 ranks, the top 100 ranks, these are all people who are here. These are all people who have practiced enough that, even on a bad day, even on a question that I don't know, I will write a great answer. They have worked on their structure, on their content, on their presentation. And on top of that, at this level, they have also added some original touches. Original touches का क्या मतलब है यहाँ पे? That, I have figured out कि, okay, when do I want to make diagrams? When do I want to make flow charts? Do I want to underline? Do I make boxes or not? This is the point where, everywhere you go for answer writing advice, you'll see people telling you that write in points. Everywhere you go for mains, this is the common advice, write in points. But let me tell you about Tina Dabi. Right, so Tina Dabi, a lot of you might know her. She was AIR 1 in 2015. Right. She was somebody who exclusively wrote her GS answers in paragraphs. And yet, she scored mains marks and she secured AIR 1 by a margin. मतलब इतना margin नहीं होता generally जितना टीना डाबी का margin था. So this is where this, original touch of unconscious competence comes in. That when you're going from level 3 to level 4, you are the one who is breaking the rules. Till level 3, I'll give you the rules that, write more, work on structure, content, presentation. Now, to get to level 4, you will have to figure out, okay, what are my weaknesses, what are my problem areas, and how do I address them? Because getting to level 4 is going to be a very, very personal journey. So, I hope this is clear to everybody. Ki when you're starting answer writing, here, going to here is going to take time and effort. So, for this reason, writing has to become a part of your learning process. हम करते क्या हैं that when we think about civil services exam preparation, we think a lot about that, I'm going to study the GS subjects, I'm going to revise, I'm going to give tests, and particularly tests की जब बात करते हैं तो a lot of people are giving tests for prelims. But in that entire process, writing has to become a core critical element of it. Because if you're not writing on a regular basis, you will continue to stay on level 1 as we discussed. You have to write, and in order to write that great of an amount, it has to become part of your everyday process. How does it become part of your everyday process? If you are just starting, naturally it will be very difficult for you to write answers on day 1 because you've not studied any of the things. So you will feel like कि भाई ये सर के ऊपर से चला गया and it doesn't make sense to me. So start with very, very simple things. Start with journaling. Write down what happened in your day, just maybe 1 page of a diary entry. This will have 2 major benefits. Number 1, you will get used to that putting words out. हाथ move करना चालू होगा, because a lot of the people who are giving civil services exam, realize that they are writing on paper after a very long time. क्यों? क्योंकि कॉलेजेस में एग्जाम्स जो होते हैं सिर्फ एग्जाम के टाइम इज वेयर राइटिंग, बाकी टाइम पढ़ाई नहीं चल रही है. और एंड अ लॉट ऑफ द टाइम्स व्हाट हैपेंस नाउ इज कि एग्जाम्स आर आल्सो ऑनलाइन, सो देन राइटिंग की प्रैक्टिस छूट ही गई है. तो दैट practice, get started with it. Second thing is, it will also help you reflect on what कि okay, I was supposed to do this today, was I able to do it, not XYZ. It will help you reflect on your own shortcomings and problems. It will help you build discipline. So very easy way to get started with writing. Just write a diary, journal what happened in the day. Second is throwaway writing. What does throwaway writing mean? A lot of the times people feel that whatever I'm writing is supposed to be part of my notes. No, throwaway writing is the exact opposite of that. Let's say I've read a newspaper article, or let's say that I've seen a very good podcast which is talking about some policy issues, or some debate on TV, or whatever it is. In such a case, in order to understand what I have read, I'll just write a short answer, or maybe some passage, just trying to understand ki okay, this is what all of those things these people talked about, and what did I understand out of it. Once I have done that, you can crumple that page and throw it away, burn it, whatever the hell you want to do. This is exactly the point of throwaway writing. It is not going to be part of your notes. It is just to help you understand what was being talked about. Then comes the third part, which is writing to learn. This is where you're making your notes. This is where you're making your notes for GS. This is where you're making your notes for newspapers. If you're watching any Rajya Sabha TV debates, or any policy podcasts on policy, so a lot of these things, if you're not noting them down, you will not be able to use them later. So in order to learn, you will have to make some notes, and you will have to make some writing practice will have to happen over here. So writing, अब यहाँ पे जो writing हो रही है, this can either be digital or handwritten, doesn't make a difference, because when you're making your notes, they can be digital. It's not a problem at all. The entire point of all of this is that if you think you can just, I'll go straight away to mains and then just from there I'll start writing, it won't happen. If you just think that, I'll go straight to mains and that's where I'll write my first answers, you are going to be in a world of pain. So, which brings us to a very important question. When do we start answer writing? Once you have done one reading of any subject, that's when you start answer writing. And preferably यहाँ पे बहुत सिंपल सी चीज़ आपको करनी है, दिमाग ज़्यादा नहीं लगाना है. NCERTs के पीछे जो questions आपको दिए हुए हैं, start answer writing from there. Like for example, I'll take up a question from this NCERT, which is Indian Constitution at Work, class 11th Polity की NCERT है ये. And इसमें chapter 2 के end पे there is a question. Which of the fundamental rights is, in your opinion, the most important one? Summarize its provisions and give arguments to show why it is most important. And that's a great question for you to practice, because it will summarize all of the things that you have learned in this chapter. And since it is based on just the chapter that you have read, it will be very easy for you to write. यहाँ पे अब problem नहीं आएगी कि मुझे content नहीं आता, मुझे ये नहीं आता, वो नहीं आता. तो as soon as you have read any subject, you start answer writing for that. And इसमें भी a very easy way, start answer writing from NCERTs. Now, इसमें अब बहुत बड़ा एक question आता है कि भाई okay, how do I start? What is the process of it? Intro, body, conclusion. What do I write? What do I not write? XYZ. So for this, I like to show this comic over here. This is from owlturd.com, one of a great comic site. So a lot of people ask me this question, I want to start answer writing, but I don't know how to get started. This is how you get started. Take a pen, take a paper, write. You will write a bad answer. Let's forget one bad answer. The first 50 to 100 answers that you write are going to be bad. In fact, they are going to be horrible. But if you don't write these 50 to 100 answers, you will not get to the good answers, right? Because you'll still be at the unconscious incompetent stage. You have to get through this volume of work in order to improve, in order to understand your problems, and in order to understand how to write a good answer. So I'll also have another detailed video on the exact things that you require in order to write a great answer. That will be more oriented towards the people giving mains this year. But for now, the simple thing that you have to keep in mind is that the first 50 to 100 answers that you write are going to be bad, and that is absolutely okay. That is absolutely expected. You will not write a great answer. It's a rare few person, somebody who has had a lot of practice in writing or in general has a lot of writing skill, they might write a good answer to begin with. But for the rest of us, even me included, when I wrote my first answers, they were bad. It is only through practice and only through writing a lot of answers. And how do you write? You take a pen, you take a paper, and you get started. That's about it. Which brings us to feedback. कि अब बहुत सी simple चीज है that I've written answers, where do I get feedback? So 3 things I'm going to talk about over here. One is obviously the Mains Excel program. Mains Excel program is the free initiative that we are running at UPSCprep.com. So this free initiative में क्या होता है? That we are giving you 2 questions to practice every day. But again, if you're a very new person, very beginner, so instead of practicing those 2 questions, what you can do is join the program, and what you'll see is a lot of others writing answers to those 2 questions. So what it will do is it will give you some perspective on, okay, 10 different people are writing the answer to the same question. So how are they writing it? And in here, we also keep providing intermittently feedback to some random selected copies, because again, because it's a free initiative, we will not be able to evaluate every copy. But that feedback of seeing कि भाई अच्छा multiple people are writing the same answer, how are they approaching it differently, can be very, very helpful. So number 1 is this sort of feedback that you can get. Second, again, answer craft workbooks, which will be available in the Mains Excel program for free, is something you can get. Or if you want hard copies of these are also available on Amazon. So ये answer craft workbooks क्या है? These are workbooks where what we have done is we've broken down previous year toppers ka answers. Let's say we'll take Animesh Pradhan, we'll take Shruti Sharma, we'll take Anudeep Durishetty, like all people who had great writing skills. And what we'll do is we'll take up an answer, we'll break it down. Ki, okay, they've written this introduction. Why is this a great introduction? And then we'll ask you to write, okay, what is a possible alternative introduction over here? And this sort of a workbook will also help you, build those relevant skills required in order to, improve your answer writing. The third way that you can get feedback, Mains Excel की हम बात कर चुके हैं, is AI tools, Chat GPT and WhatsApp. Chat GPT पे आप क्या कर सकते हो? Simply that I think it also has some image recognition capabilities. So what you can simply do, give it a prompt that this answer has to be checked for breadth, conciseness, and answering the question asked. तो ये 3 क्राइटेरिया पे आपके क्वेश्चन को चैट जीपीटी को बोल सकते हो रेट करने के लिए ऑन अ स्केल ऑफ a great answer will be 6 marks out of 10. This is great. A bad answer is 0 on 10. So 0 to 6 आपका scale है. You can tell ChatGPT that, and ChatGPT will give you some feedback. How do you use WhatsApp? Now, a lot of you might have seen that Meta AI is now built into WhatsApp, while it is absolutely annoying because I didn't want it there, but now that it is there and I can't do anything about it, why not use it? So how do I use it? Let's say that you write those short essays, right? Let's call them mini essays. So what are these mini essays? Mini essays are these things that we were talking about here. This throwaway writing, this writing to learn part. Here, if I can put these up to, Meta AI, that, Meta, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I read today, this is the article, and these are my notes out of this article. What do you think? Is there something missing? So Meta AI will also be able to give you some feedback on your answer writing. Right, so that's about it. That's all that I wanted to discuss in today's video. Now, I'll be bringing out another detailed video where we'll be talking about all of the structure, content, presentation, wo wala aspect. But since that will be a video more focused at people giving mains 2025, so I wanted to keep that separate. If you're interested, that will also be coming out soon. You can also watch that. Between these 2 videos, you will have covered 95% of all that you require in order to write a great answer. If there are still some questions that you'd like to ask me, please do let me know in the comments, and we'll reach out and answer each and every one of them. All the best on your UPSC journey.